Or is that title like a joke, or is it like just something
No,
to grab folks?
no, I was wondering if there's a religion that has no history of violence.
No history of violence.
Absolutely no type of history. No,
Yeah,
I guess, immoral shit like pedophilia and shit.
Well,
I was talking about crusade and tyranny. Go ahead.
I mean, violence and immorality are two different things, obviously. Yeah,
How so?
most people consider violence uh, moral in plenty of cases. Like for instance, because it's such a broad topic. Like for instance, I'm a butcher, and so I will shoot and kill an animal, and there's nothing immoral about it. You know,
Amen.
and that's violence. You know,
Nothing wrong with killing an innocent animal.
no, there is nothing wrong with killing.
What is the most peaceful religion that has no history of violence?
Uh, Probably the religion of some African tribe, I guess.
Been trying.
I'm
At first, I
Me
thought,
personally, I'm a Muslim, and I believe and think Islam is the best religion, and I'm open to discuss it.
oh, Islam is the best.
Pretty sure some people would just call pacifism itself a religion.
I'm happy to argue that Catholicism is the most peaceful religion.
Which one?
Solipsism.
Catholicism, Roman
Oh,
Catholicism.
sorry.
Oh, Roman. Okay, I
Yeah.
see.
What about its history? Doesn't it have a history of violence?
What do you mean? What do you mean? Like, if you want to give me a specific example, I'll deal with that.
Like, you, not you, the Roman Catholic Church. Wait, why are there so many Catholics right now in the world? It's because those places were occupied by Catholics. I'm talking about South and North America, for example.
Well,
They're all
that's a good.
conquered. So that's the violence, actually.
South and North America.
Violence wouldn't be opposed to peace if violence was used to acquire peace. So,
Yeah.
and
That's what I was trying to talk about.
a specific example in South America would be, Cortez coming, or I guess this would be North America, in Mexico, would be Cortez coming and allying with local tribes against the one tribe that is, cannibalizing and killing, since we're talking about cannibalism, tyrannizing all the other tribes. So that would be, there is no peace if, you've
Okay,
got this one tribe
so
that's
that
kind
doesn't
of
solve the problem.
good. What doesn't solve what problem?
The problem is that the Europeans of that time conquered and occupied those tribes, places, and countries.
That was the goal. That's how they got peace.
Hmm, I see.
The argument. And, since that time, there has not been human sacrifice on top of pyramids in Mexico. So it seems like the goal was acquired and peace was achieved. You could contrast that with another religion in like New England, where you just had these constant wars with the natives because there was not this sense of needing to do something for them and to give them something, which was hashed out in Catholicism. But with those groups, it was more about living opposed to the natives around them. It wasn't about doing anything for them. So there's an example. Yeah, you can contrast it with Islam, which has, I mean, I don't have many problems with Islam. I think it's fine. But,
Hey,
modern world. Anyways, good.
Yeah.
You don't think animals have souls?
Welcome back. I think they have animal spirits. I don't think they have immortal souls.
Hmm. I was looking into Jainism. Seems pretty peaceful.
Sure.
What?
That's what I've heard.
Jainism. Yeah.
I'm trying. They have a veganism debate coming up, and I had to look into Jainism. I mean, it's not a very, you know, I don't know. It's not a very popular religion or anything like that. So, um, I'm not really sure what the point of it is. I guess they don't. They attempt not to harm anything. It just seems. It seems a little bit. Because every animal dies at some point, and it dies for some kind of cause in some kind of way. So to, for instance, like slaughter it for food, it's not like you're giving it a death it wouldn't have had. It's a different, type of death for a different purpose. But everything will die. So it seems like to try to avoid violence is to kind of like ignore this one fact that everything dies.
I don't know about Jainism, but I feel like you probably don't kill the food. You wait till it dies, I guess. And
I
then
think they pieces of vegetables and whatnot. I mean, in the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve ate tree fruit, and so that wasn't killing a plant. So that's probably what a lot of that stuff harkens back to. It's in the collective unconscious, as it were.
yeah.
Is this helpful at all? I mean, I am a Catholic apologist. I'm happy to say you
No,
should
it
be
is.
Catholic,
It is
and I'm,
helpful.
good.
Yeah.
Good.
Um,
I've been in a crawl space all day fixing a broken sewer pipe, so I'm a little less patient than I should be, and but here I am.
yeah.
I think Catholicism is the most peaceful religion because it has the most realistic approach to violence, so that it can actually use violence virtuously to acquire peace.
Virtuously.
Yes.
Violence virtuously.
Say it again.
Violence virtuously. That's
That's correct.
interesting.
Yes.
Wow.
What's wrong with violence?
I don't think the violence is the answer to anything.
Why?
It doesn't do anything. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't change people's view, beliefs, ideas. It just shows that hey, my number is greater than yours, or I'm stronger than you.
Right. Well, no, that's true. I mean, if you want to talk
Yeah.
about conversion, like getting people to join your religion, violence
Hmm.
is not usually helpful. Now, but there's the case of Cortez where, if you, like, let's say, here I am a Catholic, and I show up to a place and there's people, and one person is like clearly, uh, like, let's say, like hurting everybody else in some obvious criminal way. And then I use violence to stop that person from doing that. Well, that's a virtuous thing to do, with all things considered, that then promotes my religion and gives a good chance, that other people would convert, and the Cortez is the historical example. But most of the time, Catholics just kind of go into a dangerous place and endure suffering, and that's how they get most of their conversion. There's also
No.
violence. There's also violence against other things, like Saint Boniface cutting down the oak that everybody was worshiping. That's a type of violence.
Hmm. Yeah.
So that's what I think. I think you should be Catholic. I think it's the most peaceful religion.
I mean, I kind of looked at the history
Sure.
of Catholicism, and it's pretty There's the Crusades. I don't know.
The Crusades
The
are great.
Northern Crusades.
Is there a specific crusade you want to talk about?
No, then there's the Inquisition.
Yeah, the Inquisition.
The medieval, the Roman. There's the witch hunts too.
The
And
witch hunts
there's
the witch hunts were Protestant. They were not Catholic.
well, it says here it's Catholic, but
Which one are you?
there's the
Usually, when
French
people talk
War.
about witch hunts, they're talking about like the Salem witch trials, the stuff that happened in America. That's usually what they mean. But if you're talking about a different one, there's the
Yeah,
Inquisition. You know, burning heretics at the stake and all that kind of stuff.
yeah. There's the French War, the 30 Years War.
The 30 Years
The
War. Good.
yeah, yeah. I
Which
mean,
one?
there's a lot.
Yeah, and it's
I mean,
all totally legitimate. It's, the wars that are related to the most peaceful religion that's ever existed.
interesting.
Yes. But I mean, you have to like unpack each one in its, in its details if you want to understand that. It's complex. I mean, it's not like the problem is like people have this generic idea, and then you've got 1,800 years of history and all these events, and a lot of propaganda, and you don't really know the truth. And how could you? It's complex. There's
Yeah,
an answer, but good.
yeah. Colonial missions, forced conversions during the 15th and 19th centuries.
Which for,
Anti-Semitic
which forced
population.
which are you
Huh?
talking about? Which forced conversions are you talking about?
Well, it says here, well, I guess, of native religions.
You want me to pull it up? Where are you looking? Here, I'll try to pull it up.
I mean, it's alright. If I see violence, I don't think I'm gonna go that way anyways. I don't need somebody to say violence is okay to me.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to find any religion without violence, because violence is just necessary. I mean, if you want to define violence, how would you define violence?
Forceful act and yeah, I guess forceful, brutal act against others. Physical, yeah, physical, forceful way, I guess.
What's up, guys?
So against people?
Yeah, against people or anything, living
Okay.
creatures, or not creatures, but you know, animals, I guess, humans and animals.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, if you're looking for that, you probably just got to keep looking. I mean, let me know if you find it. I really don't think that exists. Hello, sir. How are you?
How you doing? This is
Are you
Yeah.
looking? Are you looking for a religion that has never engaged in any violence from their members?
Oh yeah, I'm just curious if there's a religion out there that has no history of violence.
No history of violence. I mean,
Yeah.
so here's the. So, there's a lot of religions that don't teach violence as a good thing, right?
Hmm.
And there's a lot of religions that have used violence
Yeah.
as a. So, but I feel like if you're looking for like a purely peaceful group where no one's ever committed any violence, that's a little bit,
You kind of got to.
even if they did it in the name of religion or not in the name of religion, it's going to get pretty dicey. Like, I don't think it exists.
Yeah, you kind of got to just start your own religion, which is an American tradition. You can go ahead and do that. It's not
Yes,
hard.
that is. There's a cult every day. A cult every day. You might have just started one. Who knows?
Hey,
Right.
you guys want to try? We can do it right here.
Oh no, I
Thursday?
like I said,
Yeah.
I think Catholicism is the most peaceful religion, and that I think is better than trying to avoid violence. Because I mean, you just since Adam and Eve, there's not going to be an avoidance of that. it's necessary.
I think after Vatican II, Catholicism is less violent.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
You know?
Good. Sounds like we're pulling it off.
Yeah. It's gotten better. You know? I mean, obviously, there was like those 1,000 years where it wasn't.
I mean, I approve of most of that violence, but you have to get to the specifics, probably.
Yeah, sure. I get. Like that's the thing, is that so much religion was caught up in politics. Like it was almost the same thing, right? So if you have to wage war against a country and it's under a religion, well, is it the religion's fault, or is it a political territory fault that has a religion next to it? It's dicey.
Well, politics is an interesting conversation, but like the two examples that I've got, because I always go to the lives of the saints, and the two I think of are Saint Louis and Saint Ferdinand, who were contemporaries. And Saint Ferdinand, his whole resolution was to never go to war against a Christian prince, and his own father declared war on him, and he just did not resist. So, that's kind of a good example, but he was at war with Muslims.
Right. But I mean, like, if you want to look at I think there's two religions. I don't know about the second one. I don't know enough about it. But Buddhism, that's pretty peaceful. Like, it's been pretty rare that Buddhists get into like physical altercations with other religions. It's happened, but it's very rare.
Yeah, I mean, some of that's probably just a lack of popularity. But I mean, you could talk about like violence towards yourself, because that's like they talk about that a lot in the church fathers and stuff like that. But the Buddhists, what I understand, because I was reading something where they were talking about how they were trying to get incorruptible bodies, and after they're dead, their body's not corrupting, and they have to do this intensive fasting and starvation and taking these particular substances and whatnot, and so there is like a self-violence, which is kind of what is taught.
No, that I would say that's a good point. Those are, but I guess in a good way, like you would say the most extremist Buddhists are only violent against themselves, which is like, that's sort of like a no harm, no foul type of thing. Like, I mean, if you want to, that's your body. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but
there's a certain obligation you have, though, towards everyone else around you. That's the point I was making with him, because we were talking about like Cortez converting and stuff like that. Is like, because we are men and we all come from one man, and so we're all in society, in community. And that's probably the problem with Buddhism, is you really can't separate from that. You just have an obligation. You know what I mean? Where
like the point of well, the whole point of Buddhism, there's two things. One is to the English word is desire, right? Like,
desire.
Basically, desire is the cause of all suffering. Desiring things. And
but then it's like you get rid of your own desires, and everyone else's desire starts coming at you. And the Catholic response is, the Christian response really is, you should try to help everyone get their desires. In fact, you should kill your own so that you can focus on everyone else's. And that's the difference I've heard between the Eastern, like the pagan mysticism there in the East, because, there's also like Eastern Orthodox mysticism, that kind of thing. But the Christian mysticism is you drain yourself in order to fill yourself with God, and of course, from that comes love of neighbor. Whereas out there, you fill yourself with this nothingness that doesn't do anything for anybody.
Well,
and so
I get like
good
inner peace and nothingness. I see how it gets confused, right?
Well, what's the point of inner peace? I mean, it's like,
well, so the point of Buddhism, right? Whereas a Christian goal would be to get to heaven, like be with the Father, be with the Son, like ascend to the heavenly place where
Hey, I
there is no
don't mean
suffering, right?
to interrupt, but this guy up above, he needs help. He needs food. He needs.
Oh, the what's his name? Benjamin?
No, this guy up in Love, Truth, and Wisdom. It's Abdu
Oh yeah.
Jillo.
But
Yellow?
it's like I have to. It's actually dinner time for me.
Abdu
But
Yellow.
if you guys are still here, I'd like to come back and talk a bit. But I just wanted to say this: the point of Buddhism is to stop the cycle of reincarnation. Reincarnation is the punishment. It's not the,
Oh yeah.
not the goal, right?
That's in Platonism.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, well, it's in lots of philosophies. Yeah,
Well, if you stop the cycle, where are you going to go?
it's to get out. We don't know, but it's to get off
Away
off
from
the
the
cycle.
place. That's the idea. This place
How do you
sucks.
know there's a cycle of suffering?
How do I
That's
know there's a cycle of suffering?
simple observation.
History.
Live one day.
But I do have to go eat.
Why
I
couldn't
talked
someone
to you guys.
live in peace
Sorry, it's been good
while
to meet
also having
you.
desires?
Talk
Yeah,
to you.
I mean, I don't suffer in my life. I don't understand. Like, why do people go, oh man, living's so rough? Ugh. Why is everybody a downer?
Yeah, that's literally the first truth of Buddhism is life sucks.
Wah. I'm alive. Ugh. That's tough. Wah.
Yeah, I actually studied Buddhism before I became a Christian, and
Can't find
it
that.
does have some
Oh, did you ever
wisdom.
read that book, Living
But
Christ, Living Buddha? Or is it Living Buddha, Living
no,
Christ? Either way.
but yeah, like some Hindus and Buddhists think that Christ actually was like a part of their religion, kind of like Muslims.
Well, I mean, he's God. So anybody, so if it's a universal God, then anybody, practicing any kind of goodness would be reflecting him. I mean, they call him logos in the Bible, and so like even logic would be a reflection of Christ. So I mean, there's a certain legitimacy to that.
All that's
Yeah, I
good
actually
is of
agree with that.
God. So
The
if
Trinity
somebody's doing
itself.
good and they're a Buddhist, that's of God.
Yeah, it's just probably. I mean, it's not enough to save their soul or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a
Yeah.
reflection of God's glory that shows He is everywhere at all times, and it helps for arguing against atheists and people like this because they always say, "Well, there's all these religions that disagree with you." Well, yeah, and we can explain
Well,
it.
as a Christian, there is a decent lesson you can learn from Buddhism, which is that your desire can actually cause you to suffer more than you would want.
I don't
So,
know why
like, if
Buddhism
you're
to
like
learn.
a crack addict and you desire crack, but you can't get any at the moment, then you would suffer and go through withdrawal. So it is true, but it's not universally true in every case.
The problem is that every lie, since lies don't exist, there is only truth. Every lie is just a twisting. So you've got a potent truth, and then attached to that is all these little demons that want to drag you to hell. And so if you go and listen to a Buddhist tell you something that you could have learned from 2,000 years of history or from Christ directly or whatever, then you're just susceptible to a lot of other things. That's
Well,
the
I would
problem.
say the opposite.
Because what
If you can't
You don't have to
learn
be
from other
acceptable of it.
religions, then that would just kind of make you a fool.
Oh, you can learn from them. What I'm telling you is that one you said is not. You don't have to go to the Buddhist for that. It's a very simple. Like
Yeah,
it's
I didn't
all.
say this requires Buddhism to know. I just said this is one lesson that Buddhism teaches, which is true. It's
Yeah,
not a
sure. No.
universal truth like they claim it is. With the Four Noble Truths, it's not really a law or anything. It's just an observation.
Well, I'm drinking bourbon and I was in a crawl space all day, so I'm a little bit I'm a little bit in a fighting mood, so it's probably my fault. I'm sorry. So you're a Christian?
Not a big deal. And yeah, I'm a Christian.
Fantastic. Is it, you know what? So I've been trying to structure an argument for the existence of God to deal with with atheists. And I find the word Christian, like the word God, is really hard to define. How would you define it?
Someone born of Christ.
Okay.
Because, like, for
go ahead.
example, if you're Italian, you're from Italy, you're born in Italy. So, Christian would mean you're born of Christ.
So,
So, sorry.
but obviously not physically, right?
No, spiritually.
Right. So then, but that's my problem, right? These people don't believe in like if you say spiritual, then you kind of get this knee jerk rejection. You know what I mean? Whereas they do believe in the
Well,
mind.
wonder
They believe in the mind.
why.
Good.
Because they're spiritually dead.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to fix. Right.
But yeah,
So
what
so
kind of
here's the
argument are you making?
well, the argument I've made is that we have, because I'm a Roman Catholic, right? So we've got all these um, testimonies of the martyrs, and they're written down. They're very, very, it's tombs of it, full of it. And so I start with that. So that's our evidence. And then from there I say, you can find in this a system of principles, not morals, principles. Now you can find morals if you want, but principles is what I'm talking about. And I say that's called virtue. Now this thing is consistent across all people, all times, all places. It's unlike morals are not. For instance, like the Sabbath, the Ten Commandments. Most a lot of people talk about the Ten Commandments. Well, I mean that's changed since the time of Moses, who gave it to us. So obviously those morals they have a certain temporality to them, whereas virtue does not. It's totally consistent all the time, and you don't even have to know the name of Christ to practice virtue. So that's the argument
Sure.
I make. So you find evidence for this. It's very detailed, and then so from there I go to we have an intelligent designer and who made the soul, and this is a system for judging it. That's the argument I'm making. But so one of the things, there's all these like trigger words, but they have synonyms. So like, if I say soul, I lose them right away. But if I say mind, which is the same thing, I mean like psychology, and that's just like the Greek. It just kind of harkens to the Greek philosophy, but it's the same thing. A mind is a non-material thing that is, we call the soul the form of the body. So I tried to use mind, but I'm kind of, I don't know. That's as far as I've gotten with it. It's hard to get around them, too. They drain my patience.
Yeah, I mean, it takes longer than you think to write an argument. Because you have to be very specific and you have to, like, know every definition of the words you're saying. And you have
Right?
to know how to justify every premise and how to, logically conclude it from the premises. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it.
Right. Well, I'll tell you this. So I don't think I'll argue them into conversion. So what I kind of think, it's a tactical, right? So I know I can defend any part of this. If I went through and defined each word before starting, well, then there's no conversation. But the idea is to present a thing, that creates this fruitful discussion. So I kind of come at them the way they want me to come at them, but I try to direct them into new paths that might actually be helpful. But I don't know. It might be a fool's errand. It's just kind of what they want me to
live in a virtuous life?
Go ahead. Yes, living a virtuous life. Yeah, that's the way you convert them.
Well, you can only
Yeah.
practice virtues unless they're tested, right? You know?
That's right. Yeah, so that's another side. Yeah, so it's very self-serving actually. Up until this point, I've been using these atheists just to give me some more meekness and all this kind of stuff. But
And patience, yeah.
yeah, and patience, right? And so I feel like I owe it to them. That's kind of why I decided to finally come at them this way, because they want it. That's what they want. You know, like
What do you
I mean,
guys
good.
define as meekness? So I don't really understand meekness. Like that's
Well,
not a word I hear often.
it's an interesting word, and I've been studying it all month. But I don't want. What about you, fella? Peace Corps 12.
I mean,
Like what does
uh,
meekness mean?
well, it's like simplicity,
Okay.
humility. You know, spiritual discipline is.
I always think like it's kind of like stoicism. Like would you guys say that's right?
Uh, how much do you want me to like lecture you? Because I'm down to do it. I've had a little bit of bourbon. I can tell you
I
the,
mean, I'm
the
just asking if it's at least comparable.
so Stoicism had to do with getting the passions ordered, so like your emotions ordered, so that they don't control your intellect. But they did it for vainglory. Um, that part of it, though, of getting the passion ordered, which is usually what people mean, yes, that's Stoicism. Meekness would be the virtue that opposes the sin of anger, and so the passion of anger would be the one regulated by meekness, essentially. But basically, it's like, you know, you deal with somebody and they make you angry, which is your irascible appetite, which is the one that wants to overcome obstacles. So then you start to force your will on them without being regulated by your reason. Now, it might be good to force your will on somebody. You know, like if you read like the moral manuals and stuff, they'll say, like for instance, the commentary on Jesus Christ when he says, "If you say thou fool," you know, that's threatening of hellfire or something of that nature. Well, most of the moral
Yeah.
manual, this does not apply if you are educating a child and that's like useful for discipline and stuff like that. So, point being that sometimes anger is just, but it needs to be regulated by the intellect, and so that would be meekness. And a great example of this biblically, since you're Christian, is Moses, who was the meekest man alive. Well, he killed a lot of people, and he got angry. So obviously, meekness is not opposed to the passion of anger. It's just the regulation of it. And our Lord too, who said, "I am meek and humble of heart." So, and that's the
You
thing.
can only practice it in the moment, right? The very next moment, you can no longer be meek, and you might kill somebody, right?
So
No,
would you
I
say
don't know.
it's like someone who is disciplined with their emotions? Because that
Well,
is like stoicism, essentially.
yeah, self-control.
It's only one part of it. It's only one part of it because God gives
Like
us anger.
your anger isn't going to just control you and take over.
Yes, so that's one part of it.
Well, it
But
could, because it's hard to practice, because when it's being tested, it's easy to say, "Oh yeah, I'm a virtuous person now," but until you're tested, then it's
Yeah.
so easy. And then, how much does it take for you to say, you know, fuck,
right,
that's it, I've had enough,
right, yeah, yeah, exactly.
and then you snap.
Which is why you get all these other virtues. So like patience is how long you endure that thing,
Yes. But
or long.
even then, what really pisses you off is when you do get to that point where you snap and then you throw out all the virtues, and that even pisses you off even more, that I wasn't able to persevere and I
Right,
failed. And oh
right.
man, now you're really pissed.
Well, see, that's why you need to repent immediately. I mean, that's just the demons capitalizing on one, you know, one failure. So it's one of the, yeah, swift repentance is probably, and that's humility. I mean, because then it's pride, right? So like if you
Yeah.
fail one time and you're surprised that you fail because you think you're so great, and then you get so angry that you throw out God, well then that's pride. That's what that is, and so
Yeah.
that's why humility is the antidote to that.
And
Because
then
when
here
you
we
fail,
go. The cycle begins.
right? Well, they say the saints say humility is the foundation. You walk that.
Yeah. Well, to resist against pride, yeah. But it's like, you're down the road again, and it wraps back around, and then it's like a ongoing thing from moment to moment.
Well, that's our life. I mean, that's why we live. If
Yeah.
the majority of people who have reached perfection just die and then go to heaven, so there's not much point for God to keep people around. There's very few people who would keep around once they actually. The whole purpose of us being alive is to participate in this thing.
Well, for Christ and Mary not to fail,
For
and
Christ,
we so easily fail every day, not practicing our virtues.
sure. I didn't quite catch that. I didn't hear the thing you said before that.
Well, Christ and Mary didn't fail at it. There are examples.
Right? Yeah. Joseph too. I mean, there's a number like that.
Yeah.
But obviously, those two.
I have been thinking about like virtues and stuff lately. I think it's like a different degree of quality to morality. Whereas like
Yeah.
if you did what you're responsible for, like you went to work, you fed your children, you did your chores, we would say, well, that's what you're supposed to do. But if you did more than what you're supposed to do, then I would say that's virtuous. And like
Right.
this is what God does. Is like God does everything he doesn't have to do. He does
Well,
it because he wants to do it. He's
there's a
not
name.
forced to do anything, and that's what makes him so virtuous.
Yeah,
Right.
but the crazy thing is big deal. So you were virtuous. And now the next moment's here. Yeah, who cares what you did 10 minutes ago?
Right.
The virtue is in the moment. It's in the now.
Yeah, that's kind of the point of that. There's a book called Abandonment to Divine Providence, and it's very solid about that. But yeah, the virtue you're
Virtue
talking.
comes from following God's way.
Right.
It's like love your enemies. Like your enemies are cursing you to your face, and you say, "God bless you. I hope you find salvation and forgiveness." That shows that even the people who hate you, you will still love them back while they are hating you.
Right.
Their actions can't change your value at all.
Well, that's what I mean. But when I say it's universal, it's like we all admire it. I mean, even like it drives everything. It's like which is why it relates to the Logos and to Christ. It's like the world wouldn't happen without this. Which is why I mean virtue is like means power. It's like the power. There's a choir of angels called virtues, and they're the ones that move the stellar objects. So it's kind of this. It's this thing that drives all action, where and so everyone, I think that's what he means when he says, I'm the way, because everybody can see that. And my point that I'm trying to make, which I think is unique to Catholicism, is it's this answer of, okay, so like 2,000 years before Christ is born, somebody far out in Asia that has no connection to Moses or the Israelites, well, they're gonna die, and their soul's gonna come under judgment for God. God's gonna judge it. Well, what standard does he use? You know what I mean? Because it's obviously that they haven't received the gospel. What do they have? And there's the
God
intellectual.
judges each man according to his own works, which is the most fair justice system of all time.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
you get exactly what you sow. You reap what you sow.
Right.
So,
Which is my
and he
point.
also goes even further, says, whichever meter you use to judge other people, the same meter will be applied to you. So, like, if you say, like, oh, this guy's a fat ass, this guy, he just eats too much, and you're also fat, well, then he's going to apply that standard to you, and it's not going to be so nice.
Right?
But yeah, he judges us by how we judge others. It's like the ultimate justice.
Well, so it seems like this is a solid argument. What I'm trying to figure, because atheists are difficult. I mean, they're exactly like my children. They think they know better than me, without really having a reason for it, and that's fine,
Dunning-Kruger.
huh? I mean, it's not all of them. It's just the ones that for some reason engage.
Yeah. I just stopped caring about what atheists think and just say the truth. Say what I think. Who cares if
Yeah,
they
I mean,
throw a fit in a tantrum?
right. Well, I've done that for a while. Here's my thing. So here I am pursuing virtue, right? And I live in America where I could buy a house that was built in 1920 for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And in 1920 or 1940, it was like $10,000. And this house is in worse shape than it was back then. So I live in this crazy cyclone that's just absorbing people's souls, and men especially, so they can't live, you know what I mean? And have children and do all the things men have done for thousands of years without trouble. I mean, trouble, but not this kind. What you have to like labor debt in this crazy way just to like live from one day to the next. You don't get paid for digging a hole, but you do get paid for pressing buttons on an imaginary world, And so I kind of like I looked at so I've been practicing virtue, right? Trying to convert and all this kind of thing. And then I looked at, well, what am I good at? And I said, well, because that's how you make a living, right? I said, well, before I was Catholic, I had all these things going on, and I was writing. I've always written. I've always spoken, and I even wandered into doing, a Bible study. And I realized, man, I'm an apologist. I'm not a good one, but that's what I was doing, because I was with all these people that wanted to follow the Bible, so I just apologized and explained it to them. Well, so now I'm like, well, I know apologists make money, so I go out to do apology. And then I said to myself, well, I have to actually love my neighbor, so I can't just go and argue with people without genuinely trying to do the best by them. And so now here I am, circle all the way around, 3 children and a wife, and I care about what the atheists think again. And it's really unfortunate. But, like he was saying, it gives you patience. I think it's how I'm going to save my soul. It's the cross. It's literally...
It's
feel like
kind of like debating a flat earther. At some point, you just realize no matter how much evidence, no matter how much proof you have, they're just not going to believe you.
Well, come to think of it, I actually
And they can do that. That's the thing. They have free will. They can just not believe you. They can choose what they want to think.
I like the flat Earth folk. I think they're good. I mean, I just went and talked to them too. I mean, they're very
So
they're
one thing
mathematical.
about you does
Right,
say
but their
Yeah, they're pretty
their
chill.
debate stance is that anything against their view is just fake. So how can you argue
and
against
he that
someone who
putteth
just
not
thinks
into the mouth,
everything is
they
fake?
even prepare war against him. Therefore might shall be unto you, that you shall not have a vision, and it shall be dark unto you, and you shall not be divine, and the sun shall go down over the prophets, and the day shall be dark over them. Then shall the seers be ashamed, and then the diviners confounded. Ye, they
Sir,
shall be all cover their lips,
are you
for
a
there is
person?
no answer of God. But truly I am full of power of the Spirit of the Lord,
I had
and
this
of judgment,
time, and it was a
and of might to declare unto Jacob his transgression, and to his
Are you a
Israel
person?
his sin.
Please stop for a second. Hello.
Hear this, I pray you, ye heads of the house of Jacob,
Bro, this
the
guy's
princes of
Spurgeon.
the house of Israel,
This
that
is the
abhor
time to practice your
judgment
virtues.
and pervert all equity.
Good evening. What?
Yeah,
How?
so are you going to try to pull some sort of like psychology effort and try to... So when scripture talks about loving your neighbor, First, you have to love God with all of your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and then love your neighbor. That's
Right. Well, there's a number of neighbors here that were conversing, you know, and so would you like to do that, or would you like to read scripture? Because it's fine.
conversation is my enemy, and I pray that I never do that. Let it be my enemy. I'm going to read scripture about you. That is what God was saying about you. About how you act
Well, that's
very
fine.
spiritual and you act very man of God like, or you act very like a man of God. Let's see what God says about you. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they shall practice it, because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields, and they take them by violence, and houses shall take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, Behold, against his family do I devise an evil.
If it's very
which
reasonable for me to mute you
which
because you're not participating in normal conversation.
yes,
But
let me participate in normality. What you're saying spiritually is you're not participating in my normality. So therefore, since you don't participate in our normality, I'm going to kick you like a Pharisee. And you know the Pharisees, you know Jesus. Imagine this Jesus and the disciples and
I
the
don't know.
prophets.
I mean, I just
They
came.
would have never muted someone because they're trying to spread the gospel or spread the truth. The Pharisees wouldn't mute. They would block and they would kick and they would mute and they would
Bro,
ban. That's what the Pharisees do.
can you get to
The
the
Pharisees
point?
do that.
You just keep talking and talking.
Yeah, you're welcome to talk. I mean, do you think I'm doing something wrong? What am I doing wrong? Because you
Well,
had
it's not
like,
about, you're trying to play a psychology card. You're like you're a card. You're trying to say, "What am I doing wrong, buddy? You know, tell me. I'm sorry. You know, aw shucks. I'm not going to fall for that. You think I'm so gullible? I'm
what
just
would you
going to leave
like?
this point with you. Try and pull some sort of psychology card and then say, "Aw shucks. I'm sorry, buddy. You know, aw shucks.
Yeah, you
My
already said
apologies.
that, dude.
You know, I
You just
didn't
keep
think I
saying the
was
same
gonna do
thing
it."
over and over again.
So I'm just
So,
going to leave.
You said it like 3 times.
well, there you go. Well, that's fine. That worked out. Anyways,
I'm sorry, I just can't stand people who infinitely talk.
yeah.
Yeah, but that was the time to be tested.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind figuring out like what exactly was going on. There was like I said, there was somebody like that, but it was a robot. But this person seemed like a real person, you know. And so I'm thinking to myself, if sound like a woman, you know, if you've got a woman that just thinks that they'll go to a place and read the Bible in this way, I guess it would inspire contrition. Is the idea that like here I am thinking about, well, am I coveting fields or whatever? But it just doesn't land. So how do you?
I'm just not even sure what the point, like, you were trying to make. Like, you were saying you're a Pharisee. What did you do that was so bad?
Well, that's the thing. It's hard to tell because people come and
I've
go,
just
and
been chilling and talking.
right. Well, I don't think. I mean, I don't see an opportunity where she had to like listen to us. Maybe it's in the names. I don't know. But I mean, I would have liked to have figured out what to do about it. But it's probably best to ignore it. It's probably just a distraction. I don't know.
I'm sorry.
But well, it's been good talking to you guys.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
I've got a so I don't know. So I came to do this with the atheists, but I couldn't quite talk to them. And then I checked out a couple places. I found this one, and I think it was just jokes. The guy who was here, who said he was a pacifist, he really wanted this like non-violent religion. But I think we took that over with a very serious discussion, so that was successful. So you guys are good, and I'd love to talk to you guys again. I record these things and I'm gonna publish it. Hopefully that doesn't offend you or anything. Even though this is not the best one that I've ever done. It was a little bit chaotic. Anyways, is that
I
okay
mean,
with you?
going good, so the freaking random join.
Yeah. Well, if you guys ever like, so I'm Nathaniel. I'm Roman Catholic apologist. If there's ever anything I can do for you guys, let me know. I know a lot of people just come and go, but I generally like try to actually make friends and remember people as best I can.
Well, God bless.
God bless you. Hope to see you around.
Yes. It's been a pleasure.
Been a pleasure.
Peace be with you.
I'm still here because I'm gonna try to add you guys as friends, and that way you can just ignore it if it's a problem. But I think that's the right thing to do.
That trust and integrity are important, which is why I'd prefer to talk to you individually, and I'm happy to do that if you have the time to do that. But nobody has time and nobody has money because of usury, which is why I'm fighting usury with all my heart, with everybody I can find. And if you want to support me with your time, if you have any extra, please contact me individually. If you have to send me money to support me, that's fine. We'll find the least usurious way as possible, and you'll see a link. There are 3 ways that we can do this, or there are 3 ways that I'm working on right now. There's one bottom-up approach. I'm talking quickly for the people who don't have time. And that involves creating insular economies, which is what you will find out when you contact me individually with your extra time. That's the most important. I'm doing that locally and I'm doing that electronically, which is where you come in. The other 2 are top-down. So that you can find a user, you can cause them to repent, you can tell them about Jesus Christ, and then he should fix everything. And so we won't suffer as much. Or you can pass Jubilee laws, which you don't need to find the user or do that. It makes usury illegal. It benefits everybody who is struggling, and it will punish users or anybody who commits usury. So, which is not the people you think. Nobody knows who they are. So don't worry about you being affected by that. But I'm doing the first one, I'm researching the other 2, and I'm glad to hear your thoughts.